The events described here happened during the late summer of 1973 in rural Missouri. Two of my brothers, ages 12, 10, and I, age 11, were fishing along a creek at a place deep in the woods about 1.5 miles from our country home. We were having some luck and we stayed past sundown and into dusk, which fell heavily in the old-growth Missouri woods. Finally, we agreed to get going and started to pack up. Our fishing spot was almost midpoint in the woods where we could walk either direction along the creek and reach a gravel country road which we could walk toward home. One direction entailed more leaping over little side pools from the creek, so we chose the other route, which was more upland and easier to do in low light. Just before we started off, we heard a far-off commotion deep in the woods from our position but on our side of the creek. Tree branches were snapping and leaves were rustling, which was totally out of place for that time at night in that part of the woods. It was unnaturally loud, as if something large was pushing its way through the woods. There was a path, a game trail really, through those woods, but we rarely took it as it was rough traveling due to deep ravines and some thick brush at parts. Still, it had never scared us or anything, and we'd hunt morel mushrooms around the huge oak trees in there at springtime. We listened to the commotion and we heard it getting louder, and it sounded like it was headed straight for us. We yelled a couple times in case it was a person, but we got no reply. This was all very odd. We were creeped out at this point, so we started west along the creek on the easier trail, dead silent but hurrying. The sound changed directions and was coming in our new direction. I looked at my brothers and we said, "Oh shit," dropped our gear and flat out ran down that trail. I was in the rear but right behind my brothers. The commotion sounded if was 50 feet or so behind me. I was getting tree branches in the face every now and then, but we sped up even more. At some parts we scrambled up dirt paths using our hands as well as our feet. Basically, we were running completely terrified. Finally, like a magic portal, I could see the street light shining through the path's dark trailhead. The edge of the woods was separated from the road by an open grassy space of about 10 yards. We ran out into the grassy space and dashed to the lighted section of the country lane. The street light shone over a small bridge, so we got under the light where we could turn and fight if necessary. The commotion, which had been on our heels, stopped and was silent. I mean, it never made another sound at all. There was only dead silence. We waited a couple minutes, scared to leave the light, but finally we agreed to run as fast as we could home. We made it all the way there in record time. We told our dad and my oldest brother, but they didn't take it seriously. They suggested that maybe it was a deer or a person, but I wondered, why would a deer come straight for us? Also, why would a person be out there? They told us to go back the next morning to retrieve our tackle and check for tracks. We went back, with a shotgun, the next morning. We came from the direction we had run out the night before, but there was no sign of any large disturbance in the woods anywhere along the path or deeper in the woods near our fishing spot. The only tracks and traces looked like they were made by us in our terror run. What was it? Why was there no trace of it? Would it have hurt us had it caught up to us? Who knows? Scared the hell out of me. Addendum: some years later I dated this hillbilly gal for a while. I told her about the incident and she said it was probably a haint, which are malevolent spirits that live in hollers and deep ravines. It's as good of an explanation as anything else I have heard suggested. This content was provided by angelotricarico.com.